Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me just adjust this just a little bit. All right, there we go. Just want to make sure that I'm in there correctly. So, welcome back to A Queen's Roundtable show and podcast. I am so excited. I'm your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. And actually, I'm going to take out this top part here because I don't like the way that looks. All right. There we are. So, A Queen's Roundtable show and podcast. This is the Born to Lead docu-series that you have joined us for. And I am so excited to bring this to you. This actually began from the Born to Lead anthology that actually was launched last September. So September of 2022, it was launched. And we had such a excellent outcome from that. And a lot of people really resonated with it. So I was thinking of different ways that I can continue it. So this Born to Lead docuseries is actually myself interviewing different entrepreneurs, different leaders, right? People that are either an entrepreneur or they're, killing the game in their industry and or both. So I'm interviewing them and we're talking about that sauce, right? That leadership sauce. And we're also going to find a little bit out about their journey and the different trials and tribulations that they've gone through. And they're going to provide you with different tips and tools to help you up your leadership game. So I want you to stay tuned for the natural born leaders that I'm going to be interviewing today, as well as in the upcoming weeks. Okay. I'm going to be interviewing women entrepreneurs from around the world. They will share the good, the bad, and the ugly truth about working their way to the top of their industries. Now, we're going to stream live on YouTube, and we are also going to the series will be available on demand on the one and only Women Win Network, which on the A Queen's Roundtable channel on the Women Win Network, which streams on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. So that is going to give us a huge amount of visibility and be able to increase our impact and help millions of women across the globe. So my guest today is going to be Sunni Pouncil. And let me just read her bio to you. As an entrepreneur, she provides a service as a realtor, a podcaster, author, and speaker, and MC. Her passion is to educate her buyers and sellers in their journey to home ownership. She enjoys connecting with families and relocating them in and out of Oklahoma City. She plans to step out of the boundaries of Oklahoma City to grow a team in all 50 states to better service her buyers and sellers. So welcome, Miss Sunni Pouncil. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, to the stage. All right, come on in here, Miss Sunni. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. I know this is not your first time on the show, but you are the first person for the Born to Lead docuseries.
Oh, wow.
Because of the natural born leader that you are. So welcome to the show. And, let us know a little bit about who you are and, how you serve. I know I shared a little bit, but you can kind of, get in there and reinforce it and fill in the gaps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for the privilege, Dr. Jacqueline, for me to be here on the stage sharing with you. Listen, leadership is one of the top qualities that's running in America at this moment, from government to presidential to CEO, business owners. I mean, at some point in time, you step into that leadership role. And so, me coming in as a real estate agent, excuse me, let me turn my thought I had all my stuff turned off before I got on here. So, but stepping into being a real estate agent, growing a team, to opening the cannabis industry, to just all facets, being part of youth organizations. There's always some type of leadership in us. And so my husband gives me a statement, and I kind of live and love to share it, is it's got to be in you and not on you. And so being in real estate, being a podcaster, stepping in as speaking MC and authorship, it kind of leads into being a great leader. So experiences and things that I've had and to endure has helped become the leadership that I have and the qualities I possess.
Awesome. Yes, because you're kind of you're very interesting, because you're a realtor, you're a podcaster, and
Yes.
I know that there's a story behind your podcast. So just share with us a little bit about how do you I don't know, do you bridge the two, and how do you do that, and how did that come about?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Dr. Jacqueline. I started real estate way back in 2006. And I did predatory lending, or not predatory lending, but I was actually involved on the lending side. So I call it to have the money. I was the source to the money. And those 5 years were a great experience to me until we experienced a lot of predatory lending that caused us to belly up. And some people were experienced that in 2006 to 2008, where your mortgage interest rates went crazy and people were foreclosing. It was a high rate foreclosures and short sales at that time. And then I stepped into the role of human resources for 10 years after that. Well, missing putting people in homes was something I enjoyed. So I came back into the field, and I will be in the field as a real estate agent come 10 years in February of 2024. And I'm super excited about that. So, right at the pandemic in 2020, I had I would say right before the pandemic, it was 2019, when I was in that process of deciding that I'm teaching, I'm educating, working with two nonprofit agencies here in Oklahoma with neighborhood housing services and community action. It led to me stating that a lot of people are not coming to the classes to get this free information about home ownership. So, what do I need to do to grab my audience? And if they're not coming to the classes, meaning putting butts in the seats, how can I reach them? And so, everyone has one of these little dally little things that we carry around that's mostly our lifeline, And so I said, let me start create a podcast. And so, Neighborhood Gems with Sunni Pouncil was born in January 2019. And I would go that full year of growing my audience on Facebook from a couple hundred to over 5 to 6 thousand followers. Created my YouTube channel and have a few hundred followers there. So continue to grow that streamline as well. But it was one of those that I wanted to take the real estate to the streets and educate people on the videos by, hey, these are some key people that are going to stop in and talk to us about their different programs, the things that are changing in the communities, upcoming new builders. So I would have a variety of visitors that would come on, guest appearances from people that were in the industry. Either they were inspectors, they were lenders, title reps, you name it. Sometimes I would even have an appraiser come on. It helps to understand when you're dealing with real estate how it approved, what's the value. I didn't know didn't have to fix my home up to sell it. I didn't know I didn't have to have 20% down. So I take the podcast as an educational tool on the side of real estate so that people can see that it's simple, it's easy, and you can never say, I didn't know, or I don't have the resources. And so bringing forth and taking a break from the podcast over the last 6 months to a year, I'm now getting refreshed. I've had a couple of obstacles that I had to take care of. Hey, let's be real clear. Life happens. Life is lifing. And so I've stepped back from the platform and coming back to it because there's so much things that's going on. The interest rates are high right now. People are still thinking it's not possible when it really is, because you have some new builders that are in your community that is willing to pay for your closing costs or pay so much to buy down your interest rates. And so you may see the interest rate at 8%, but that builder, let's say in here in Oklahoma, Homes by Tabor, they may pay for your buy down of your interest rate. So now your interest rate is not 8%, it may be 6 or 5%. So it kind of helps to educate those kind of things. And so I have new builders come on and give us some explanation. I take tours on my podcast. I want you to see the home. If you can't be here, and as you stating, as I'm building my business, it's also building across the state lines. So I've come outside of my boundary of Oklahoma to expanding nationwide. So I work with several different real estate agents. I have a few in South Carolina. I have a few family members that are realtors in Houston, Texas. We currently have 2 transactions. This will be our 3rd one that's been taking place now. So I work with a lot of relocations. And so it's just to help people understand that it's just not for here, Oklahoma. It could be anywhere across the states. But learning and making sure you have a real estate agent that is willing to take that extra step to make sure you have your options and to secure them is all more blessing, because at the end of the day, the buyer can walk away with, I had an option. I now understand what I'm doing because I'm making the biggest investment in my life. So that's pretty much what the podcast has become. Is it's really a real estate podcast, and it's just educating the community.
Okay. Wow, I love that. And that's so needed. And as I'm sitting here, I'm still thinking about, like you said, that a lot of people don't know that they don't need that 20% down. Or I
Right.
guess it would be nice, but it's not necessarily a necessity.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So a lot
Now,
of
if you're buying an investment property, that's something different. You would have to have your 20 to 30% because it's a non-owner occupied. You're on it to make business. You're on it to make money. So you buy and hold those properties. For that type of reasons, you would have to have your 20 to 25%. But to purchase a home that you're going to be living in, you can come in with as little as 3 to 4% down. So, and most of the times, like I said, you have a lender that's willing to help. Sometimes you have a down payment assistance program that'll give you 3% of that. So $14,000 is a lot, especially when you're not buying a large home.
Right. So, let me ask this. Let's say, so I'm in Michigan.
Yes.
And I'm looking to purchase a home. Would you be able to help me with that? Or does it have to be, I don't know, maybe this might be a silly question, but would you have to know a realtor in my area?
Yes. And so what it is I would connect with a real estate agent that I feel is trustworthy. It's one of those that you would do business with, people you like, know, and can trust. Right. Mm-hmm. And especially coming off of small business weekend from this past weekend, it's so important that people understand that you want to do business with someone that is going to take good care of you. They're not going to take you fast. They're not going to just say, oh, well, here's the house and go and happy living. Or put you somewhere where you're not interested in being put. Here in Oklahoma, it's big to be near railroad tracks. We have the Air Force Base here. So you have a lot of people that don't want to be over planes that's flying over their home. So you tend to want to have a real estate agent that will listen to you, that will take care of the needs that you're needing. Because at the end of the day, this is your money that you're spending. So I would connect with a real estate agent there in Michigan that will partner up with the understanding of, we're going to take care of Dr. Jacqueline and all her needs. So I interview a real estate agent as if I was the buyer. I try to ask tough questions because I want to make sure that person is a mirror of me, and we can kind of make that connection. Once we make that connection, I feel I go into that gut instinct, and I definitely pray about it, because sometimes what you might think may be good for you, it may not be the best thing for you. So I try to make sure I stay sound and solid with my decisions and partnering with real estate agents across the states. Because let's just be transparent. I speak to a lot of them and build a relationship, and in some of them, like they say, they'll tell you who they really are in due time. But I do my due diligence and interview every real estate agent and make sure that they are a great fit for the relocation team that I'm working with and building. And so at that point, you would have to have a real estate agent that is licensed there in Michigan to actually purchase. Now, I will tell you this. I say that to so far because I can write a contract for you anywhere in the United States. It's a standard contract form for purchasing. And when it comes to selling your property, you would have to have a real estate agent that's licensed in your state. So yes, ma'am, to answer your question, I want to explain it because some people may say, oh, she didn't answer the question. No, I want to make sure I explain it so you can understand it. You can write a contract anywhere in the state of the United States, but it's when you're ready to sell that property, you have to have a licensed agent within that state. So I can definitely work with you, Dr. Jacqueline.
Got you. Okay. Okay. And you know what? I know that you're going to explain it. You're going to break it all the way down. Because the thing of it is, a lot of times people, people have questions, but maybe they might be afraid to ask, or they
Yes.
think it's a silly question, or,
Yes.
and then a lot of times you ask one question, there's a follow-up question, right?
Right.
But, you really broke that down. And I've learned a lot just even within this short time that we've been on about the 20% and about the difference between if you're purchasing it as an investment property versus you're going to live in the home. So
Yes.
because the home buying process can be very scary.
It really can be.
Yeah. So
For a
it's
first-time buyer who's never purchased, nobody in the family has ever purchased, it could definitely be a scary sight. So you want to make sure you have someone that's willing to walk and that journey with you onto home ownership, because it's the biggest investment you'll ever make.
That's right. And it's like for me, believe it or not, I've never purchased a home. But like what's coming to mind for me is I'm thinking about when I had my first child. And I say my first child like I got any others. I just got the child, right? But what the point that I'm saying is that was a huge, huge life altering. Of course, my computer wants to update now. That was a huge life altering experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said to myself, let me just I'm trying to make sure do away with that alert. I don't want us to start updating while we're live. Okay.
Right.
So I'm a first time mom. That was going to be an ongoing relationship, and I needed to trust someone. So it was a few doctors that I went and saw, and I was like, okay, they're not going to be my doctor. It was like next.
Yes.
So it's an ongoing process.
Move.
And I needed to be able to, as you say, know, like, and trust that person. So, so that's what I relate to home buyer.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've never purchased a home before. So yeah, but just thinking but I know some of the anxieties that I think of when I think about purchasing a home, and so it's so important to have someone that's going to educate you in the process, and not just basically I'm the expert, so just do what I say. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And I mean, if you think about it, when you're ready to get your hair done, don't you go to a hairstylist? Otherwise, you would do it yourself, and some people will mess it up. You would put too much dye, leave it on there too long, and your hair comes out, or you would cut too much off.
Yeah.
Which is just no different if you go to a mechanic to get your car fixed. You're not going to fix it yourself. You're going to go pay somebody else to do it. So it's one of those industry-related fields, or even a photographer. You could take pictures with your phone, but if you want a professional camera, a professional look, you would hire a photographer. So the same thing is with real estate. Trust the real estate agent that they do what we're supposed to do, so that way you can get the real true benefit of having that expertise. That's what we went to school for. We went to school so we can educate the community on home ownership. So that's our role. That's our job. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
That's right. You take that seriously.
Yes, I do. Especially for my community, because we're always the last to understand what's really needed. And how do I go about getting this property? Or, as I was telling another buyer a couple of days ago, we're fussing about this 40 acres and a mule, when all you need to do is just own a piece of the acreage, a quarter of the acre, a lot or something, but just take stand and start owning something. It's time for us to start owning things, especially if we work so hard for it.
Right. That's right. That's true. So let's segue over to talking a little bit more about leadership, because this is the Born to Lead docuseries.
Yes.
And so the first thing I want to ask you, in an area of real estate, what sort of challenges have you faced as a woman, or maybe woman, and maybe doubly a minority woman in your area of expertise? What types of things have you faced, and how have you managed to, I guess, address them or not allow them to hinder you from your development?
Well, it's interesting that most people be the first thing they say is because you mentioned it. I'm a minority and I'm a woman. Of course, real estate, they'll always say it's the good old boys game. So taking a stance and making sure I do my due diligence and doing it right, making sure I stay educated on top of things, making sure I'm sharing the right information is one of the things that could pretty much separate me separately from everyone else. It's one of those things that you have to take that leadership quality in your business. This is my business. This is not something I'm doing part-time or kicks for giggles. This is a full-time job for me. So I take it, like you asked, I take it very seriously, and I do. So it rolls into the lines of leadership. So being a part of my brokerage, I am on the ALC, what is a committee of leaders. And I'm over the education part. So go figure. So it's just everything is lining up for me to just be staying with educating the end buyer and seller for their options. What have I done and that kind of ties into, what have I done to overcome those things? I embrace the fact that I'm a minority woman in real estate. And there's so many of us that are now starting to come out in the state of Oklahoma that where it was a small percentage, maybe like 1%, there's maybe 3 or 4% now of us minority women that are in the real estate, and only a few of us are brokers. So it's huge to set the tone and saying, hey, you too can do this. It's almost like the dream when we had our first African-American president. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to set your mind to it. But when you do it, strive to be the excellent person to lead in your field of expertise. No one can do what you do but you. And as I stated before, it's got to be in you, not on you. So if you have those leadership qualities, then we want to have you step out and embrace that, because we lead a lot more of us colored women as leaders.
You coming for me with sorry. She said we need a lot more colored women. That kind of threw me.
Yes.
So
you said you had to think about that for a minute. That's funny. Yes, it's minorities. Yes, ma'am.
That's right. And you know what? And it's interesting though, because I think there are certain fields that people have a tendency to feel a little more comfortable when they're dealing with women. Like, I'm a social worker, I'm a therapist. And not to say that there aren't any male therapists, because there are, right?
Right.
Being a therapist or, a teacher or a nurse, and those are just a few, just off the top of my head. I know there's a lot more that I think people have a tendency to, I don't know, they don't question it, I guess, as much.
Right.
So now this is again, when I get to asking questions, my brain just kind of goes. So this is something else I done thought about on the spot. Have you ever encountered a situation where you're working with someone and they're constantly questioning your knowledge base, I guess, or constantly questioning you? Does that make sense? Am I saying it? Am I communicating that in an effective way?
Yes. You're basically stating, have I ever had anyone that kind of questioned my authority? Outside of my son, no. Only because, when you understand what's to not be misunderstood, then you understand the assignment.
Okay.
When you are a leader and you have set the tone of your expectations from your team, there's no room for questioning. And if you have someone that's questioning your authority, well, then it's one of those, are you really here for the team? Or is it something that you feel like you could do better than me? And being a part of my team, even on real estate, because I do train and mentor new real estate agents. I have 2 of them now that I'm training. The goal is to have them be better than me. Because if we're on a team and you're better than me, that makes me a stronger person. So I don't have to take the whole seat and be having the credit for it. I'd rather share it with some people that's worthy of sharing it with. Let's just be transparent, because not everyone's born to lead. There's some people that need to be followers, right? So I've never had the encounter of someone question my authority as far as the rules that have been set before them, what's expected to them on a day-to-day basis. I set realistic goals. We set longevity goals. And either we can work together as a team to accomplish those, or we can part ways. We can agree to disagree. And hey, I still love you from a distance and cheer for you, but my focus is with my team. So it's one of those that I've never had to encounter that because I've set the expectation from day one.
Now, what about from an actual buyer, like a buyer or a seller?
Now, it's always interesting because you'll have people, what we call know-it-alls. You know, they know everything about real estate. Well, I know that because I bought a home before. Okay. Well, when did you buy a home? Oh, 10, 15 years ago. Well, what we did 10, 15 years ago is not what we're doing in 2023 or going in 2024. So it's one of those that you have to trust the person that's sharing the information with you, the resources. Again, that's one of the things I pride to keep myself in classes. We are a real estate agent. We have to do continuing education courses to keep our license. And so with that, they're embracing us and sharing with us the new things that are going on, what's to be coming about, you know, shared from the government coming down to our little communities. And so it's just one of those that if you have a person, I don't never knock a person from their experience because that's the best teacher, right? So if you have that experience, that's great. But let me share with you what's going on now. And so I never want to knock a person down for what they know and what they've endured and if they feel like they know better. But it becomes a point that I have to question, am I of value to you then? Because if you know everything, then I need to step back and let you do what you're doing. I mean, I just got to keep it real, you know, sorry. Some people say there's no gray shade in your boat. It's not. Either it is or it's not. So, hey, listen, if we could work together, we could work together. If you feel like you could do it better than me, then I'm going to step to the side and let you do it and cheer you on and hope that you go get it done. But it's funny that at some point in time, I may have had maybe two buyers out of my whole 15 years in real estate that have actually returned back to me after I released them, after they felt that they can do things on their own. So it's interesting that you really didn't know as much as you thought you did. And now you really knew that you should have held on to someone that was giving you some information. I'm pretty much like an open book. But I will allow you to be you just as I want you to give me the space to allow me to be me and do what I need to do. So, yeah.
Okay, I like that. So now let me ask you one of my other questions here. So and I know you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but what values are important to you as a leader and how do you incorporate them into your leadership approach?
Some things that are important to me as a leader is you got to be a good listener. You have to be a good listener. It's one of those sayings that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We are to listen more and to talk less. Now, upon listening, you have to be having effective communication. That's setting those boundaries, those understandings at the very beginning. Communicating any changes that are to be coming about so that your team it can be in sync with you. You have to lead by example. If you want people to do right things, then you need to set the example of doing right things. You can't say I'm gonna do something and then you go turn around and do something of the opposite because now that confuses the team. So you have to make sure that you're setting those great examples as a leader. Now, how I incorporate all of those is I have weekly meetings with my teams. I set the example of doing live videos, live posts or post period that's educational. It helps for them to see that if Sunny's doing it, then I can do it too. It's not that hard. I'm training my ladies now to be live on the videos. And well, I'm not camera friendly. Well, when you got up this morning, did you not look at the mirror, make sure your eyes was crust free? You didn't have, stuff all on your cheeks and stuff. I mean, if you check that out, then you're good. So what more than all you have to do is have some good content that you're sharing on your live. One of the young ladies that had a challenge is now doing reels. And I mean, it's amazing to see her now get out in front of the camera and she's doing reels. You have to have confidence in yourself. You have to be confident about the things that you're doing, and you have to understand and learn your craft. And so if you're going to be a leader in real estate, then you need to understand to lead in real estate and train your agents to be great leaders and to also be great at as an agent. And so I incorporate all of those things within the mentorship. And I'm not one of those leaders or managers or CEOs or presidents, because I'm pretty much a lot of those in different other businesses that I have. I wouldn't dare ask my personnel to do something that I myself wouldn't do. I'll roll my sleeves up and get in with my team. If my team is slack and someone has dropped the ball, we got to keep this ball moving as a team, because you can't have one weak link, because that breaks up everything that you're trying to build. So those things are some top good qualities that I try to put within my team, but also take within myself.
Okay. Very good. Very good. That makes sense.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Everybody, don't go anywhere.
Realizing Your Potential LLC presents Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. This anthology brings together women that have overcome hardships in their lives and have managed not only to survive, but thrive. Their stories focus on resiliency, adaptability, and strength, acknowledging the innate strength and leadership qualities in African American women.
Hello, everyone. We're back. We're back. So let me say this for the born to grab your copy of Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. You can go to Amazon.com and search it up. It'll pop up. You can grab your copy, or either you can go to barnesandnoble.com and get your copy there. Again, it's titled Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. So grab your copy if you don't have it already. All right. So, okay, so we ended on, now we're moving into the education piece, different tips and tools that you can take to level up your leadership game. Whether you are out in corporate America and you want to, better work with your team and more effectively work with your team, to get some sort of promotion, that puts you in more of a leadership capacity, and or a business owner, because as a business owner, we have a team and we, lead others, and that if we're able to, the more effectively we can lead, right, the more effective our product or our brand
That's
is,
right.
right, to move us in the direction that we want to go. So I got another leadership question for you. So let me ask this. When you can you share an example of a successful leadership decision that you made?
Embracing that I was a leader.
Okay.
You once you realize that you have those leadership qualities, you tend to start embracing it. Sometimes you'll second guess, am I a great leader? Can I really lead the team? If you can show empathy and authenticity, I could get that word, that was pretty challenging. If you have self-awareness, courage, integrity, if you have flexibility, if you're lifelong learners, delegation, you're great with delegating, commitment, if you have a vision, if you're great with being an influencer, team building and collaborating, have strong communication skills, these are all great tools of knowing that you are a leader. And so I didn't find that until I stepped into human resources. And when I stepped into the human resources field of staffing people, I had to learn to manage the different personalities, the different nationalities, if you will. And so it was like, wow, if I can manage this, I can pretty much lead. I can lead a team. It doesn't have to be a great big team. Now, mind you, I never thought in my entire life that I would be over managing and seeing and leading 300 IT technicians from our corporation here in Dell, the Dell computers. And so it was amazing to see that. And so ever since then, I thought I can do this. I can be a great leader. But I understood I had to be a great follower as well. So that's the first thing, along with the other things I just gave a list of. But that's when I found the success that I was a leader.
Okay.
When I came right out of the human resources.
So you mentioned, okay, so a couple of things. that I'm thinking now. One, and this is not the first, and I totally agree, and this is not the first time I've heard this said. When you say one of the components of being a good leader is to be a good follower,
Yes,
elaborate
ma'am.
a little bit more on that, because I think probably for some people that might seem a little, what's the word, contradictory. So elaborate
Yes.
a little bit more on that.
Meaning that you have to first be able to follow someone under great leadership.
Okay.
Let's say, for an example, let's take real estate.
Okay.
My broker. In order for me to become a great broker, I have to understand and follow the rules and see the great things that my current broker is doing and presenting. So I'm following him. I'm following his step by step, seeing how he does his day-to-day operation, which will in turn train me to become a broker. So when I become a broker, I can start passing down those same jewels. But I had to first be able to follow before I can lead. So every great leader comes from following.
Okay.
So you got a person that you're looking up to, they're a mentor, they're a role model. Those are leaders that you're willing to follow. So every great singer, who's your model? Oh, Tina Turner or Janet Jackson or Michael Jackson. Those are great leaders. And so if you're following them in that music industry, you're following them as the great leader they are. And as soon as when it's your turn to shine, now you're the leader. And believe it or not, you have someone else that's willing to follow you, because they would want to do some of the things that you're doing or get some of the leadership qualities that you're willing to share with them. So just keep that in mind too, as you're stretching forward to follow someone else that's leading, someone else behind you is trying to tag onto you so that they can follow you. So that's a great example that I feel that I can state. You have to be a great follower before you can lead.
Okay. So let me ask this. Now, I heard you when you shared about being over that team of technicians, the 300 team of technicians, and how
Yes.
maybe you're a little skeptical at first, and then after she's like, "Wow, I got this. I can do this."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing that up because this is a common thread that comes up. Oftentimes, well, it's either, to me, it seems like it's either one end of the spectrum or the other. Either women like knew automatically that they were, leaders, and they just kind of immediately jumped into that leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
or they kind of fell into it,
Yes.
you know what I mean? They were
Yes.
they were pushed out there, or like kind of late, maybe late to the game,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever the reason they were, just didn't really consider themselves a leader. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you find that is the case as well? Like whether, like I said, kind of late to the game, so to speak, like how something you experienced, because like you said, you didn't necessarily think to yourself, well, I'm a leader.
Right. Right.
So what are your thoughts about that? You can speak from personal experience, as well as, talking with other women, dealing with other women, coaching other women. Why do you think that happens like that so often?
Most time people don't feel like they have arrived.
Okay.
Some people, they still need that little push of encouragement. And some people, like I said, they're just not natural born leaders. Again, it's got to be in you. The quality has got to be in you, not on you. And what I mean by that is you got it in your gut that you can lead. You're confident. You have this morale about you that's a leadership quality. Some people are just led to continue to be followers. But some people, they'll stumble up on it because of their role play their role that they take in their jobs. So for an example, for me, I ended up falling into it because I was in a position where I was constantly being promoted up. See, I didn't realize that me being promoted up, I was always hungry. So like right now, as a real estate agent, my focus is a broker. I'm always striving to get to the highest level that I can get. And whatever highest level that gets me, I have to remember there's a leadership in each one of those phases. Mm-hmm. So even though I may be this lower level employee, if you will, starting at the bottom, I'm going to do my best as that lower employee. And soon start showing quality traits, and I know my job and I know my role. Now I'm ready for supervisor. Once I'm done with supervisor, I want to master to be the manager, and at some point I want to be the president. But when I was working at JOB, I would never get to that top of the president because that president wanted to be the president, so I had to get somewhere where I can push and be my own boss. And so it tends to be one of those, you just fall into it just because your job role is, you were hired in because of your qualities. You may have managed a store before or something of that nature. And some people don't think, well, that's not leadership. Well, yes, it is. If you have a team, people, if you're responsible for people underneath you that has to come to you, speak to you, you have to coach and counseling and terminate and hire them, you are a leader.
Okay.
You are a leader. So your role in your job created you to be in that leadership role. And so now you're in leadership meetings, you're in supervisor meetings, and now so no longer supervisor, you get promoted to a manager. And sometimes people don't look at promotions as being a step into the leadership role. Definitely. So yes, sometimes we can fall into leadership, and sometimes we're actually out there going after the leadership because we're so hungry to do the top thing that gives us the freedom to do whatever we want to do.
Whenever I hear you say hungry, I think about Les Brown saying, you got to be hungry.
You got to be hungry. You can't just be settling for just, oh, well, this at 9 to 5, I'm cool with this job. No, you want to strive to do more because you can get more and you will make more if you push yourself.
Right. I mean, and I was over here chuckling, Sunny, because I'm thinking to myself, don't nobody fall in, like stumble into a position where you overseeing 300 people.
Listen, because it was never in my forecast. It was never thought.
Okay.
Let's just be transparent. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I always want to have my office at the very top of the highest building in the corner where I got number glass. See, that was my vision at a younger age. Never thinking that my path, my drive, the ambition within me, my character would push me into this leadership role.
Okay.
And so when I look back and I'm thinking, I housed over 300 employees that I personally hired myself, did their payroll. They had to respond to me. They had to, request off through me. It was a big task. And so I figured if I can do that, it's time for me to own my own business now. Okay. And take that leadership quality and work in my own business so it can create my own wealth for me and I can see my value.
That's right. Look, if we was together, I would give you a physical high five, but we just do a virtual high five. I love it. I was going to say something. Oh, you know what? It's funny hearing you say that because when I was younger, you will never guess what I thought I wanted to be when I was younger.
It wasn't a physical therapist. It wasn't it wasn't counseling, and it wasn't being a doctor, PhD. It sure was not.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to be an FBI agent. I wanted to kick in people's doors.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Taking in a long time, but I wanted to be the ones, to say, I'm Officer So, I'm FBI agent so and so, and I gotta ask you. I'm here to ask you a few questions. You want to, you know what I mean? I don't. But that's what I wanted to do, and it's so funny because here I am. I'm a counselor. I'm a therapist. What they call a counselor, therapist, clinician.
Yeah.
So whatever you call it, that's what I do.
Now that's funny. You didn't ask about crime, but you asked about health and the physicality of people and how they handle themselves. So you still questioning folks,
Okay, just in a different way.
Yeah. But just in a different facet. So yes.
Isn't that the truth? My husband, my son's father likes to say that therapists, social workers, that we're in this business because we wanted like an official reason to be nosy, to ask the questions. Really? That's how you look at it? Okay. But anyway, it's always so interesting to me. I like people. I like talking to people. I like finding out what makes them tick.
Yes.
And how they ended up. Because oftentimes life takes different turns and twists and I'm not saying everything is up to chance, but a lot of times the way or what we end up doing is not even necessarily what we set out to do or to start in our business. Like I started my business well, like I said, been a social worker for years, but my realizing your potential, I originally started that on the basis of wanting to teach other women how to increase their self-confidence, because that's something I had done for myself, and initially didn't even think that I could even help anyone. But that's how
Yeah.
I initially started out to look at where it is today, interviewing women, like being a channel owner on a network, having my own show and being able to interview women and to allow them to tell their stories, to inspire
Yes.
other women, to provide educational tools and tips to help women basically become a better version of themselves.
Yes.
If you had asked me 20 years ago about this, well, first of all, we didn't have the internet like we do now anyway, but
Right.
I wouldn't have even have dreamed that it would have taken this path.
Right.
So I always find it interesting to find out how people got to where they are today.
Right.
Your story is very interesting to me, and I think, I just have so much respect for you and what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have so much respect for you.
I
So
appreciate
let's end on this note. This, pretty typical question, but what do you want to leave the viewers with in terms of leadership?
that if you trust your gut instinct, God has gifted you everything you need within you. You just have to execute it. You have to go to the wheel, put your hand actually on the wheel, and physically be turning the wheel. So that way you can get the outcome that you want to get. If you keep doing the same thing you've been doing and getting the same results, it's time to change. It's time to change. But step into your leadership role. Step into that role and handle that business, because we need a lot more leaders that are looking for you. A lot more followers are looking for great leaders like you. So embrace it. Don't be afraid about it. It comes with the territory, but you got this and you can do it. So get to busy, get working on it. Get busy.
Get to working on it. I know that's right.
Get to working on it. We need more leaders out here, especially if my sisters, my queens, my minority women, my color of women, whatever you want to look at it, us. We need a lot more of us out here. Step into your leadership role. It's not as bad, because you'll find yourself not by yourself. So step into your leadership role and handle it. And let's do it. We're all here to support. If I can be of assistance, you can always reach out to me through any of my social media handlings.
That was the next step, what I was getting ready to say.
How can you reach me? Absolutely. You can call or text 405-201-4241. You can call or text 405-201-4241. I'm on Facebook under I Am Sunni Pouncil, under Your Unique Home, the letter U, the letter R, the word unique and home. Also under NH Jams, which is the Neighborhood Jams podcast. You can also find me on Instagram under S Pouncil. And as you can see, my last name is on the screen there. So be sure to connect with me. Would love to talk to anyone, encourage anyone to just listen, to help boost or encourage you, because we all need those sometimes. Even leaders need someone to encourage them, because you pour so much out that you need to be poured into too. So as sister to sister, let's lock arms and do that. I'm so for sisterhood and making sure our queens are having a smile on their face and embracing the things that they do. See, no different than Dr. Jacqueline. She wants to make sure you be the best version of you. And we want to help push you as a leader to be the best leader that you are.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform. And I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community, bringing awareness, allowing people to share their stories, because it needs to be shared, to let someone else in the world know that you are not alone. We all got same different problems, maybe different problems. Some may be the same, but the outcome is definitely going to be different. You got to hang in there. So I appreciate all that you're doing for us, Ms. Dr. Jacqueline. Thank you so much for having me.
And I appreciate your positive energy. You are always just a pleasure to deal with you and interact with you.
I appreciate it.
And I love that.
Well, after you've gone through what I've gone through in life, a beat of breast cancer, a loss of a baby girl, you tend to have a different outlook on life. So I'm that sunny day that most people think that they didn't need to have and needed it. So once I give you that good dose, you'll be all good to go.
Well, thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So I'll talk to you soon. Okay, Sunny?
Yes, ma'am. Have a blessed one.
Okay, you too. Take care. All right, everybody. So that is Miss Sunni Pouncil. And you can definitely reach out to her and connect if you are in the market of home ownership or you want to purchase an investment property. She is your person. Definitely reach out to her. So thank you again. This is our first episode for the Born to Lead docuseries. The Born to Lead docuseries. And as you see right behind me, let's see, which way am I moving? Let's move this way. Natural born leader. So if you are interested in being interviewed and you want to, talk about, obviously the focus is on leadership, right? So if you're interested in being interviewed, then definitely express your interest and let me know. And we can sit down and have a conversation and see if we can make that happen. So again, I am Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. This is the 8 Queens Roundtable show and podcast, which is now we're doing the Born to Lead docuseries. So tune in next Sunday. I can't remember next Sunday's date off the top of my head, but the show is every Sunday at 3 p.m. So tune in next Sunday. I'm going to have the next guest for the Born to Lead docuseries. So make sure you tune in. She's gonna share some of her personal experiences, some of the ups and the downs, and basically give you again different tools and techniques, feasible techniques that you'll be able to start using today to be able to up your leadership game, to show up as a better version of yourself, as you know, in your business, in your current corporate position, and or both. Okay, so that is the purpose of this Born to Lead docuseries. So stay tuned. Again, the Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. You can grab your copy on Amazon as well as Barnes and Noble. So go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com and just search Born to Lead, Awakening the Leader Within. That's an anthology. I'm the visionary author for that anthology. And all of the women that participated in that project are awesome. So you can check out my story as well as their stories. So make sure you grab your copy of that if you have not done so already. So again, make sure you tune in to next week's episode. Again, this is the 8 Queens Roundtable show and podcast. We're switching over. We will not be airing on Facebook or LinkedIn Live. We will be on YouTube Live, and then it will be on demand on the Women Win Network. Okay, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already, so you can stay up to date on everything that I'm doing and whenever I'm going live, and you can catch us. Okay, all right. So take care, all, and until next time.